going on, doozers, and welcome to another Redstone tutorial. Today we're going to be learning about the probably most complicated block in the game, the comparator. So this thing is confusing, but really useful, and you guys know most of my Redstone tutorials. I try to make it as easy as possible, and now we're looking at this giant grid on the ground here. So let me explain what we're doing. The first thing is I have a comparator here, and I'm going to be using this to do a couple of demonstrations. The first thing about the comparator is it is directional. It will always have the two knobs in the back and then one in the front. The one in the front you can toggle in compare and subtract mode. Okay? Beyond that, I have 15 redstone lamps with blocks and signs labeling them. Now, on your comparator, you have 4 different inputs, and I'll show you what I mean. With the redstone, let's see here, we'll get that out. You have your main input, which is the line you're putting in. You have 2 directional inputs here, and then you have your output here. All right? So, what does it all mean? Well, here's how this works. This is going to output the exact same signal as it's receiving in from the back, as long as the signal coming from the back is greater than or equal to the signal coming in from the side. Right? A little bit of math here. I know it's early in a Tuesday morning, so let me explain it. So if I gave this a signal of 13, okay, and that's what we're comparing, a signal of 13. And I come over here and I say I want a signal of 15. You'll see that now, since 15 is greater than 13, I'm going to output a signal of 15. Okay? Now, if I put this same signal back here on 13, 13 is equal to 13. 13 is equal to 13. So we're going to get our output signal. Okay? Now, if I make this output, or the input signal here, 12, since 12 is less than 13, no output. Okay? Am I confusing you yet? Oh, just wait, it's going to get worse. So, now, if I were to put this into subtract mode, things get really goofy. Okay? So, in subtract mode, what it's going to do is it's going to take the signal coming in, so 15, and it's going to subtract it from the comparative signal. So 15 minus 13, output of 2. If I extend this out to 6, 15 minus 6 gives us the output of 9. Right? So hopefully this is starting to make a little bit more sense. So in compare mode, it's going to compare, is the signal here equal to or greater than this signal? If it is, it gets an output signal equal to the input. In subtract mode, it takes your signal coming in, subtracts it from your compare area, and outputs that signal. All right? So let's talk about some things you can do with the comparator now. The comparator can be used on a lot more than just a signal coming in. You can use it on a chest. So let's grab some blocks here. So as we can see right now, it has no signal coming in. If I were to put a stack of blocks in here, we're going to get an output signal of 1. If I were to fill this chest up, now we see that our output signal is greater. Okay? So the more items that you put into this, the stronger that signal is going to be. There's a really drawn-out math problem. It comes out to the number of stacks divided by the number of possible items in a stack, truncated, and then you figure out how many slots are available in the container, and then divide it by it. Like I said, I would, for that one, suggest going to the Wikipedia page. That's how I found it. So the other things that you can do is you can take the signal directly off of the chest, or you can take that signal through a block. So again, I have my chest here. Put some blocks in there, and now our signal comes through. Okay, and this all is because this block here is now being soft powered by this chest. If you watched my last video, I kind of explained the difference between soft powered and hard powered. So what kind of circuits can we do? Well, right here is a really simple circuit, and it's a pulse extender. So what's going to happen is if I turn this on, you're going to see that these are going to slowly turn off. Okay, the reason is because this is still going to give you a 1 tick delay. So incoming, we have a signal of 14, which means outgoing, we have a signal of 14, 14, 13, 13 comes down, and as it goes around, that signal gets less and less and less and less and less. And then what we end up having is a reduced, or not a reduced, but a extended pulse, all right? If I were to do this exact same thing with just a standard repeater, apparently I can't spell today, guys. That's a thing that's happening. So as you see, it'll come on and turns right back off. All right. Now, the nice thing is that you can extend the length of that pulse just by adding in extra comparators. So as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and turn this one on. I'm going to dance around, and then I'm going to turn this one off. And this one's still going to finish well before this one. And again, it's just because of the way the logic works here. So that's a really brief idea of how the comparators work. There is so much that you can do with it. These things work with many of the blocks in the game. You can take a comparative signal off of chests, hoppers, furnaces, shulker boxes. You can take it off of picture frames. There's just so many things that you can do with this. The best thing I can tell you is to come into a world, set it up, do a super flat world with redstone ready. And just play around with it. Figure out how it works, because it's the best way to learn. I could explain it all day. Some of the other great guys, the ones I learned from. So if you're sitting down watching, Ilmango or Avomance or any of them, any of the guys from the Codecrafted server, take a look at what they're doing. See how they're doing things. It's the best way to learn. It really is. Or, just subscribe to my channel, and that's a completely shameless plug. I'll admit it. All right, so here's some other things I wanted to go over last time. We just kind of ran out of time. These are some basic logic gates, all right? And I know your brain is a little bit of mush right now from the comparator signals. I'm not going to make it any easier, I promise. So this here is called an OR gate, which means either or. So if this one is on, I have a power. This one's on, I have power. If they're both on, I have power. Okay, this is called an AND gate, which means both of these have to be on or off to turn the signal off. So if I turn this off, notice I still have a signal. If I turn this one off, now I don't have a signal. Okay, and if you wanted this inverted, there we go, big words, right? If I wanted to invert the signal, I would just put a redstone torch there, because we remembered from last time, if this block is powered and there's a redstone torch, that redstone torch will burn out. So if I turn this on, now that redstone torch is burnt out. Okay? So it's a real easy way to invert a signal. The next is a latch gate. So right now, this latch gate is on. If I click this button, it's going to come over here. Now the nice thing is I can click this button all day long, and it's not going to do a lick of difference, because in order for this gate to work, this signal's off, okay? It's getting power from here. If I wanted to turn it back, I'd have to hit this one. Same goes here. All right, now this is really useful if you're putting in, say, a door into your secret base, Or if you wanted to just do a really basic door going into your house, you can set it up with this latch. So you come in this way, and then you lock the door, or you open the door from this side. Okay, so by setting it up this way, it means that the only way to open up the door from this one after you've hit this is if you use this button. All right. So the next one is called a monostable circuit, and it doesn't look like much, does it? It looks like just a stone and a repeater and some dust. But what this does is probably one of the single most useful circuits in the game, because underneath is a sticky piston. Okay? So what happens is when we hit this button, the sticky piston goes up. We get a rising edge signal, which is going to give this a 1-tick pulse, which means this is going to turn on for just a blip of a second, and then it's going to go away. Couldn't even turn fast enough. All right, so you just barely see it pulse. All right. Now, this kind of circuit can be used for a wide variety of things. It can be hooked up to some of the other circuits. And again, we're going to get into, probably next week, we're going to do a whole bunch of different ways to use these circuits. But right now, I just wanted to get you a little bit more familiar with the circuits themselves. Now, this one is the exact same circuit. And this is just a quick example of how you can combine them. Again, it's a rising edge monostable circuit. And rising edge just means that this is rising to power this. Falling edge would be this coming down to power it. All right, and they both work the same way. So what I did is we have a rising edge monostable circuit, and it's coming into a pulse extender. So what that's going to do is it's actually going to give that blip of a pulse, and then it's going to extend that circuit out. And making these is really easy, guys. Let me grab some blocks here. All you've got to do is put in a sticky piston, put on your block, redstone torch, or redstone dust. And again, we remember that we can't just use dust here. Okay? Because this block is soft powered by the circuit. So you have to use a repeater, or you have to use some other form of redstone contraption. So you could actually use another sticky piston here. No, you can't. What am I saying? No, you can't. So no, you do have to use the repeater. Now, one of the other things is, if you notice here, I have a spacing in this clock, and that's very important as well. If I were to just put the clock like this, you notice that the entire clock just gets that pulse. It doesn't actually do the circuit. So if you are trying to do a monostable circuit going into a comparator pulse extender, you are going to need to take that two dusts out, and then you can build your circuit. The other thing you can't do is you can't pull your circuit. Yeah, that repeater's not doing anything. Okay. So again, going from this circuit into the next one, you are going to need to do a single piece of dust, and then that will allow you to actually set your circuits up. The other thing is you do need this on 1 tick, okay, or 2-tick delay. Oh. Now, you don't need that from this one because we're not going into the circuit, okay? So it's got to get enough power there to actually power the entire circuit once around, if that makes any sense. All right. So those are some really basic ones. There's a lot more that you can do. There's a lot of different ways to make each of these circuits, whether you're doing rising edge, falling edge. There's probably 15 different ways to do a NOT switch, or an AND switch, an OR switch, latch gates. So again, it's always good to know a couple of different ways to do them. but more importantly, it's good to make sure that you're comfortable with how they work. You could know 500 different ways to do a different piece of logic, but if you're not comfortable with any of them, what good are they actually doing to you? So again, make sure you get into a crit test world, play around with them, and once you figure this stuff out, it gets really easy to start playing around with different things and how to use those different pieces. So again, guys, this is Diamond Doozer. I hope that this tutorial was a little bit more helpful. We've got a little bit more into the redstone basics with you. Later on today, I'm probably going to be doing a live stream. For those of you who are watching way after I put this video out, I apologize, but that is also going to be on YouTube. So feel free to check out that live stream. We're going to be going through a little bit of the realms, just showing off what's been built. And other than that, guys, this is Diamond Doozer, and I'm out!